Brazil, in the present day, doesn't really have a market yet, but it does have a market potential, a huge market potential. And I want to show you, I want to start with a video where I'm going to show how everything started. It's a movie that's on Netflix called Illegal, and it shows the struggle of some mothers trying to get medication, CBD, for their kids that have 80 seizures a week and more. And how can I show the market potential with no market existing yet? What I'm going to do is show you how the Green Hub and how BRA started the project and everything we did from 2016 until here that made us raise $1.5 million in investment, with people believing in us, believing in our work. And so I'm going to show you our capabilities, and then you're going to understand why are we using those capabilities to build the market and how we're doing that. So let me play the video first. This is how 5 partners watching this movie and seeing the struggle of those mothers. Our doctor usually says that mothers open the doors to the sky. So what exists in Brazil right now is not that much, but it's a lot compared to 2014, as we saw in that video. And then that's how we put together a group of 5 partners and started a group in Brazil 4 years ago with nothing existing in the market. So we had to, what can we do? There are already people bringing, the medication is not really the problem without regulation. So what's the biggest problem that we have? We have to educate people. We have to bring data. We have to bring innovation, technology. We need to have, we need to build startups in order to make this market start the right way. So what we do is we started watching the milestones and the goods and the bads in the US, Canada, Israel, all over the world, and we put together a hub of information, bringing data to people, to governments, to Congress, to Senate, to corporate, and this is what I'm going to try to show you a little bit right now. So BRA Holding is a Brazilian company founded in 2017 to create business portfolio for medical cannabis sector. So we contemplate 3 phases of growth strategy. The first one, phase 1, was client acquisition. So we were working on the community. We were working strongly to build the community for people to start hearing us, and so we could start bringing data and content to that community. So we had access to exclusive consumer information and medical data. So we worked strongly on data, education, and innovation. Phase 2, which is the phase we are right now, 2019 until 2020, we're going to work consumer-driven service development, consulting, clinics, and new business development. And then after we conclude all those phases, then going to phase 3, then yes, we're going to start thinking about medication, CBD, and other products. So experiencing unique product offerings with raw material, medicine, and distribution. So the brain strategies we have today, everything started with the Green Hub. So the company was only the Green Hub at the beginning, and then it became BRA, so we wouldn't lose the brand. So the Green Hub became the hub for innovation and technology. Anela is the brand we created for phase 3, so we're just holding it for phase 3. ICM Brazil is the institute where we want to bring data and information to the population. That's a more open information channel for stakeholders, for politicians, for patients. And SEC, the Centro de Excelência Cannabinoid, is the Center for Cannabinoid Excellence, is our medical platform. So the Green Hub today is known as Technology and Innovation for Global Cannabis. So who are we? So we are a platform specializing in innovation and technology entirely focused on the medical cannabis sector. So we have three business models: venture builder, startup acceleration, and corporate consulting. So we started in 2017. In 2018, we started our first acceleration. It was with SEC. In 2019, we consolidated a joint venture with 4H, Technology and Health. The company is linked to PUC-Rio. It's a Catholic university in Rio de Janeiro. And that put us in another level, because now we have over 200 students with high quality hand labor for technology working with us. So in 2020 we will have the first call for startups. In March we're going to do our first call for startups. We're open for the Brazilian startup, but we're open for any global startups. So if you guys know any good startups in Canada too, we're open to hear their projects as well. So one of our members is Alex Lucena. His father has relations with the Waterloo University here in Canada for over 30 years. So there's a connection, a really big connection with the Waterloo University and PUC-Rio. So that's a really good connection we already have with Canada. I'm co-founder for all the projects. I was one of the first members to join. So I'm co-founder of BRA, but I'm also business development and co-founder for the Green Hub. So this is a little bit about what the Green Hub does. So we work startups that feature innovative solutions. In the market, we want to work with hospitals, clinics, networks, labs, and supplementary health. R&D, researchers, universities, technology parks, and labs. An ecosystem with investors, financiers, accelerators, large companies, technology providers, and infrastructure. Living labs with simulation environments. Training with mentoring courses and lectures to the startups. And support with innovation programs and technology and marketing as well. Go-to-market strategies for startups. So what was the problem that we saw and we still see? So despite the medical cannabis industry, regulatory advances throughout Latin America, licensing requirements vary from country to country, making investments in building a scaling machine for companies is very challenging in Brazil. So with that, what's the opportunity? Latin America is a strategic center for medical cannabis trade, and Brazil has the largest concentration of potential consumers. So we have over 200 million people in Brazil, and we imagine that in 5 to 7 years, 45 million people could have access to the market if well regulated. So there's a lot of space to be explored in the domestic market, creating strategic possibilities for first movers. So that's really important to be a first mover right now in Brazil. So with that, what is our main focus? Is to educate, inform future market leaders interested in the medical cannabis industry by promoting responsible, transparent, and effective market practice learned from cannabis global's mature sectors. So that's the hub. That's what we want the hub to be, a hub of knowledge, data, and education. A little bit about SEC. SEC is really interesting. So SEC is a medical platform. So the idea is to take care of the entire journey of the patient that wants to be treated with cannabis. So a little bit of the history. In 2018, we went to the Green Hub's Acceleration Program, where developed face-to-face courses for physicians with topics such as history of medicinal cannabis, endocannabinoid system, and clinical application. So we did a partnership with a company called MM411 that believed in us and it's almost like a partnership, because we share revenue, and we translated the courses to Portuguese, and it was one of the first courses that we brought to Brazil. So the idea for SEC is on the medical side, not on the corporate side, to educate doctors and patients on cannabis use in the first moment, and in the second moment to build clinics throughout Brazil and Latin America. So how do we do that? So through education with courses, content, and telehealth. Clinical care with medical appointments, medical consultation and prescription, and with patient support. That's very important, giving patient support. Access to medication, initial treatment, and treatment monitoring. So after the treatment starts, we monitor that treatment to the end. So Anela, with the approach of regulating the cultivation of cannabis in Brazil, I'm going to give you a little bit of the overview. A lot of people are skeptical about cannabis being grown in Brazil, but nothing is impossible, right? So a year ago, we wouldn't know that the market will be the way it is right now, with so many people talking about it. So we still believe we can have agriculture with cannabis in Brazil. So we're getting that ready with Anela. So Anela is going to be our production system for the future. So we have, our group has more than 500 acres of land in Mato Grosso, Brazil. And in São Paulo we have over 190,000 square meters of closed indoor capabilities. We just started ICM Brazil, Institute for Medicinal Cannabis. And what are we doing? So in our phase one of the things we did, we need to help regulate. And one of our first moves was to do a partnership with New Frontier Data from Washington, D.C. So in 2017, we launched the first Brazil report with New Frontier Data. And with that partnership that lasts until today, we learned a lot about the pillars, the 9 pillars that a country has to have in order to regulate a market the right way. So some of them: policy, regulation, taxation, compliance, lab testing, data reporting, cultivation, extracting process, and consumer education. Unfortunately, all the CBD that goes into Brazil right now, 85% is bad. 85% doesn't have good quality. And we have to change that really, really quick. These are some of the people we learned with ICA. ICA is the Group Intercan Alliance. It started with New Frontier Data, and now you have the Hogan Law Group, Simplifia, New Frontier, Lyft, Vincent Senebrad, Con, Steep Hill, and Mountain Medicine in that group. And we plan to have a similar group in Latin America with people helping regulation. What I say is, first we have to deregulate and then regulate. So there's a lot of things that need to be changed first, and then start with regulation. So ICM Brazil is an organization founded by BRA Holding that seeks social development through medical cannabis. We are a network of medical cannabis specialists. Our goal is to assist in advancing in industry with socially equal access. What we do, through information, option, criticism in society, and lessons learned in other countries, we transform knowledge into innovative regulatory practices. Our agents seek the improvement of professional and institutional practices in areas in business, education, health, and social. So it started as ANECAM, and now it's hard to start a really serious association in Brazil with different people wanting different things. So we decided to start an association with our own companies first, and then with the ideas that we put together, we'll bring people that believe in our work to join us. So our partners, ICM Brazil needs the support of relevant organizations based on collaborative efforts to build something with great impact. Institutional support is consolidated through financial support to enable the services of strategic suppliers in co-branding on our website and online and offline marketing actions. Supporters will have participation and access to all data and projects developed. So as I told you, New Frontier, and a little bit of the engagements overview that we have with New Frontier in Brazil, in Latin America actually. So with market data, so medical market assessment including current and potential medical and I think I skipped one. So we're going to do analysis of wholesale and retail sales data to determine the size of the total and current addressable market size with additional analysis. So when we did the first report in 2017, we had very little information in order to start getting the numbers. So in January we're going to release a new version of the report, and then we're going to have the actual number and the actual potential of the market. This has been used, we have been referenced over 2 years in all the main newspapers and magazines in Brazil, and I credit this partnership with a lot that happened to the Green Hub. It's really good being referenced and being treated as a serious company with such a difficult subject. So I'm not going to go into, but you guys can go into in the website of New Frontier and understand a little bit more. But New Frontier, this is really important. It doesn't take any position on the merits of cannabis legalization. So we're neutral in advocacy. We're doing zero advocacy. What we want to bring is the real data, and not data in order for people to see numbers and build a market with that. So everything that you see we work to be 100% correct. So what do we do in this partnership? So we collect all the data that we need, and with the federal government, with the state, industry, auxiliary markets, and consumers. We'll send it over to New Frontier Data in Washington, and the analysts there will do all the research and the analysis, more research and compare, and then release the reports for the country. Another partner we have is Clarivate. So Clarivate is going to be a partner with SEC, because with Clarivate we're going to collect data for medical purposes. So it's a global leader in providing trusted insights and analytics to accelerate the pace of innovation. The vision is to improve the way the world creates, protects, and advances innovation. So working with scientific and academic research, patent intelligence, pharmaceutical and biotech intelligence, and trademark domains. So with medical data, it's going to be technology, synopsis, report content, patents, plus scientific literature patents, search and analysis for CBD documents related to globally found destinations, scientific literature, research and analysis of bibliometric information from the non-patent literature, documents, and scientific articles dealing with the theme of CBD related to the therapeutic targets to be defined in the scope of the meeting. So I just got it, let me see if I can find it really quick here. I just got an email with some information. We can mention there's a lot of movements already with this. So there's a lot of publications, scientific publications in universities in Brazil already. So I'm going to give you an example that we have in Brazil. A systematic review of the efficacy of cannabinoid agonist replacement therapy for cannabis withdrawal symptoms, CNS drugs. Also a systematic review of the efficacy of cannabinoid agonist replacement therapy for cannabis withdrawal symptoms with the Journal of CO2 Utilization, Cannabidiol Neuroprotection and Neurophysiatric Disorders, Pharmacological Research. So 3 examples of many others that we can have access in Brazil. In regulatory, we want to help, so to structure general diagnosis, including identification of critical themes and objectives, stakeholder mapping, and analysis of the policy landscape. So, when people ask what are the opportunities in the Brazilian market, I would say the opportunity is to come into the country and help us do what we're doing already. So we have to release more content, we have to release more data, we have to talk to government, we have to talk to people, we have to educate. That's going to create one of the biggest markets in the world, and it's already becoming that. I saw a lot of changes in the last 12 to 15 months. So this is the medical cannabis report, the first one, the overview, can be downloaded. The other one was the Latin America report. We want to launch the second one as well. So, what can we say are our biggest values today? On the corporate side, is to facilitate corporate and sector innovation programs by introducing innovation and improvements in the productive and social environment that results in new products, processes, services on the medical cannabis industry, as well as operationalization of the strategy in different contexts. So overall, to support corporate initiatives. For startups, connect health startups with medical cannabis industry and adapt their solutions to the new market. Work closely with startups to help improve their solutions and prepare them to enter the market. But what we do is, we don't actually just accelerate in distance, we are hands-on. So all the 5 partners in the Green Hub, we work closely and daily with the projects. So it's hands-on actually. So and today we have two spaces, one in Rio and one in São Paulo for the programs. So a little bit of what happened since that movie, Illegal. So justice allows the family of Brazilian Annie Fisher, the girl that you saw in the video, who suffers from rare syndrome, to import medical marijuana oil from the United States, and a visa now receives similar requests from other mothers. So Federal Medical Council authorizes doctors to prescribe cannabidiol for children with epilepsy who have not been successful with other treatments. So that's how it started, only for one symptom. In 2015, Anvisa removes cannabidiol from the banned list and simplifies rules for its importation. 2016, after court decision, Anvisa authorizes prescription and importation of drugs with THC. Families get habeas corpus to grow and extract marijuana oil for their own medical use. In 2017, Anvisa approves the first cannabis drug. In 2019, but I just missed the name of the drug, I always forget it, but it's the same drug that all the different countries have from GW Pharmaceuticals. What's
Nevatil.
Nevatil.
Or Sativex.
Sativex, exactly. So in 2019, Anvisa puts in public consultation proposal for cannabis cultivation for research and production of medicines, and another were rules for registration and post-registration of these products. And in 2020 is still, I hope a lot of things are going to happen, and we were able to make this market up. And actually what we want at the end in Brazil is a very different market. So what moves us in the beginning are the families at the end. So everything we do back here is going to reflect to those models, so that doesn't happen again as we saw in the video. From 2015 to 2018, there was 300% growth in the number of prescriptions, even with the market having many restrictions. One of the biggest problems we have, and it's not only a Brazilian problem, is the number of doctors prescribing. There's still not many, so doctor education is very, very important. In Germany, as an example, you have good quality products in the shelves, but they stay in the shelf because there are not enough doctors to prescribe and give access to people. Agriculture, I'm going to talk about agriculture. As I said, people are skeptic about that. They don't believe Brazil's going to allow grow. But there's a lot of people, up to like 15 days or like a month ago, people didn't know the difference between cannabis and hemp. And now people are starting talking about hemp a lot. And there's this group of people from Minas Gerais, the University of Viçosa, that did a study. So I brought a little bit of information of the potential for agriculture in Brazil for hemp. So according to data provided by the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Supply, MAPA, Brazilian agribusiness is responsible for generating about 23% of national GDP. According to MAPA, agribusiness projections report grain production in Brazil is expected to increase 24% by 2027. The Brazilian tree industry reported 14%, 2.2% growth in pulp and paper exports. Brazilian agribusiness exports account for approximately 46% of Brazilian's total exports between 2015 and 2016. Due to this high productivity, which can reach 12 tons of pulp per hectare, as well as its rusticity, which reduces the final cost of the product, cannabis is becoming an option for the pulp and paper industry worldwide. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Supply, Brazilian consumption of cotton, the main raw material for textile industry, reached 2 million tons by 2022, requiring a planted area of 967,000 acres of supply to this demand. So it's a really, really good alternative. When you talk about hemp, you can use the whole plant, as we know. So this is a map. So the red areas are all areas that will be good for growing hemp. Brazil has it's really, really good in agrotechnology. So usually people can make can adapt and grow something in different areas using technology. So that's really good. And that's it. That's the green logo BRA. Thank you very much for your attention.
Marcelo, can you give us an idea about some of the trends that you're seeing? If you were a startup or a new company going to that market, can you give us like 3 sectors that we really should be looking at?
Yeah, everything focused on technology. So there's a lot of projects in startup health that can be adapted to cannabis. So what we're going to do right now is the challenge is our first call is to discover exactly what are those people. We don't know if we're going to get 3 companies or 50,000 companies there, but anything that goes focused in health tech and agrotech and bio is going to be the good trends for the future in Brazil and Latin America. Biotech, one of the biggest ones.
And are you finding that the current administration is receptive?
Yeah, I don't think the current administration is against. They're really conservative. They're there's a lot of conservative people now inside, but I think they're against. There's a problem today. The big villain is THC. If you talk about THC, so that's the villain. So what we're trying to do is educate them on that information, and that's what's most important. I don't think they're against. I think they don't know what's cannabis. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to handle it, and we need to teach them how to do it. But I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Hi, thank you so much for your great presentation. I just want to expand a bit on quote that you said 85% of CBD that goes into Brazil is bad. You're referring to authorized imports from Anvisa, or you're talking about like the illegal trade?
Yeah, authorized. Even the authorized medications. Testing that we did with Steep Hill. Steep Hill did a test, and that's how I got the number, because of the brands that I know that come into Brazil. So they're all branded products, and so it's actually bad products coming from from suppliers. You know, there's no correct testing nowadays, so we need to start testing it more once it gets to Brazil. Unfortunately, we can't get any products from Canada. It would be great, but it's so expensive to get products from here right now. But in the future, it's going to be really good if we could get products from here.
Okay, thank you so much.
I have a question previously. So where are the products coming from?